Newly leaked surveillance footage has reignited conversation around MacArthur Johnson, better known as Funny Mike or his former rap persona 22 Savage, showing the exact moment he was involved in a deadly altercation outside a convenience store in Baker, Louisiana. Unlike rumors or online chatter, this is verified evidence from the official investigation, footage that police once held confidential but has now surfaced online, quickly going viral. The video has many revisiting the case, as Funny Mike's team has long maintained that the incident was an act of self-defense, not cold-blooded violence. What makes this even more striking is his transformation afterward, from a man once tied to tragedy and street tension to a beloved YouTuber with over 6 million followers, creating family-friendly content and inspiring millions. It's a stark reminder of how one pivotal moment can alter the course of a life, and how redemption can take unexpected forms. Most of Funny Mike's fans have no clue about the life he lived before the fame, a past that reads like something straight out of a gritty drama. What's wild is how he managed to outmaneuver the system and walk away from a murder charge that could have ended his freedom for good. To really understand how MacArthur Johnson went from facing the streets to filming skits for millions of kids, you have to trace his story back to its roots, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. This isn't just any city. It's a battlefield disguised as a community, a place where survival often depends on how quickly you learn the rules of the game. Born on October 8, 1996, right in the middle of those hard streets, Johnson came up in an environment where violence wasn't an exception, it was the norm. Baton Rouge has long ranked among the most dangerous cities in America, where making it to adulthood can feel like a victory. As Johnson once said himself, "If you don't move smart out here, you end up in jail or in a grave." He grew up surrounded by chaos, kids barely in their teens carrying weapons, loyalties shifting overnight, and dreams fading under the weight of poverty. For him, the streets weren't just a backdrop. They were his teacher, shaping his mindset and choices long before the world ever knew his name. Johnson has often admitted that his relationship with his father was strained, while his mother did everything she could to steer him toward a better life. But in a neighborhood where power was measured by cash and firepower, walking the right path wasn't easy. By the time he hit middle school, trouble was already familiar territory. He racked up his first juvenile cases for fighting, theft, and a few other run-ins he rarely talks about publicly. What he did like to mention, though, was how he always managed to burn it out, beating those cases before they could stick. Each close call fed his belief that the system couldn't pin him down, giving him a dangerous sense of confidence. Every arrest, every court appearance that ended in his favor, only convinced him further that he was untouchable. But as his street life grew deeper, Baton Rouge's music scene was heating up just as fast. Artists like Boozy Badass were putting the city's raw reality into lyrics, and a new wave, led by NBA YoungBoy, was proving that young men from those same blocks could turn pain into purpose. For Johnson, Boozy wasn't just an idol. He was a mirror. The struggles in Boozy's verses reflected Johnson's own life, offering both validation and direction. And when YoungBoy started to rise, it lit a spark, showing Johnson that maybe, just maybe, there was a way to flip his story from the streets to the studio. NBA YoungBoy and MacArthur Johnson came from the same soil, young, hungry, and hardened by the streets of Louisiana. Both were products of environments where survival came before dreams, but YoungBoy found a way to flip his pain into profit, turning street tales into millions. Inspired, Johnson began experimenting with music himself, cycling through stage names like Lit Mac, Mighty Mike, and even Girl Funny, searching for the version of himself that would finally click. But when the music didn't move fast enough and the streets still offered fast money, he slipped deeper into the life he thought he had mastered. After years of dodging charges and skating through courtrooms, Johnson felt untouchable until May 3, 2016, when everything changed outside a grocery store on Baker Boulevard. But before that life-altering moment, he crafted the persona that would launch him into viral fame, 22 Savage. And make no mistake, this wasn't random. It was strategic. At the time, Atlanta rapper 21 Savage was one of the hottest names in hip-hop, and Johnson saw a bold opportunity. During a freestyle, he rapped, "This ain't 21, this 22, sparking instant buzz. Sensing the reaction, he leaned in hard, copying 21's style, cadence, and aesthetic, fully embracing the parody with calculated confidence. When asked if it was intentional, Johnson didn't hesitate. "Yeah, I did it to mess with him." Under the name 22 Savage, he dropped the track Jumpin', and it blew up overnight. The audio racked up thousands of plays within hours, and the music video shot into the millions. Suddenly, Johnson had found his formula. Controversy sells. But 21 Savage wasn't amused. On stage, he publicly dismissed him with a sharp, "Ain't number 22, ain't number 23. Johnson, ever the provocateur, fired back, challenging 21 to a boxing match, promising to give up the name if he lost. Even 50 Cent caught wind of the drama, offering to host the fight on the undercard of a Mayweather event with $100,000 each on the line. 21, however, shut it down cold, saying, "I don't box, I got them choppers." It was the perfect snapshot of that era: clout, controversy, and the thin line between a viral moment and real-life danger. When 21 Savage dismissed the boxing challenge, Johnson fired back without hesitation, making it clear he wasn't backing down from anyone. He mocked the idea that 21 was the only one armed, saying in essence, they didn't stop making choppers when they made his a not-so-subtle message that he was just as ready for war. Tensions between their camps flared fast. Members from 21's crew began posting ominous images, tombstone emojis over Johnson's pictures, turning a viral feud into a real-life threat. Soon, whispers spread that Atlanta and Baton Rouge were officially no-fly zones for each other, a dangerous declaration in the world of street politics. But while Johnson was busy building his name through controversy, his real-life story took a deadly turn. On May 3, 2016, he and his girlfriend, Charmaine Wilson, pulled into the parking lot of a grocery store on Baker Boulevard. There, they crossed paths with Richard Phillips, a 20-year-old known locally as R.A., who happened to be handing out flyers for an upcoming birthday party. According to investigators, the two had a disagreement about those same flyers weeks earlier, something trivial that spiraled into tragedy. Johnson's account of what happened that night shifted multiple times. At first, he told police Phillips approached his car to clear the air, supposedly agreeing earlier that if they ever had issues, they'd handle it with fists, not guns. But Johnson claimed Phillips flashed a weapon, forcing him to shoot in self-defense. Police, however, said the surveillance footage told another story. Phillips approached the car peacefully, and within seconds, shots rang out from inside the vehicle. Phillips tried to run but collapsed just feet away. When officers searched the scene, they found no gun, nothing to back Johnson's self-defense claim. From there, things unraveled quickly. Johnson and his crew initially stuck to the story that Phillips had been armed. But when detectives showed them the footage, one of the passengers, Walter Williams Jr., cracked under pressure and confessed that Phillips never had a weapon. That admission changed everything. Johnson, Wilson, and Williams were all arrested. Johnson facing charges of second-degree murder, illegal use of a firearm, and obstruction of justice. His bond was set at $370,000, but he didn't sit long. He posted bail and walked free within days. What stunned people most was Johnson's attitude afterward. When asked in an interview how he felt with a murder charge hanging over him, he shrugged it off. "I don't feel no type of way," he said. "I don't think about it." That cold indifference spoke volumes. The mark of someone raised in an environment where violence was routine, and the threat of prison felt more like background noise than a wake-up call. When the surveillance footage of the shooting surfaced online, it threw gasoline on an already fiery story. Some people believe the leak came from inside the investigation, maybe as a way to pressure Johnson or sway how the public saw him. Others think it was released by someone trying to help him, hoping the clip would back up his claim that Phillips approached his car first. Whatever the motive, once the video hit the internet, it took on a life of its own. Thousands of viewers became self-proclaimed detectives, dissecting every frame to decide for themselves what really happened that night in Baker. Then came the twist no one expected. The charges were dropped. Despite witness statements, changing stories, and video evidence showing an unarmed man being shot, The grand jury refused to indict MacArthur Johnson. Just like that, the case was over. Johnson walked free, posting on Instagram, "God is good. Second chance at life. Shout out to my team." But the decision left a cloud of disbelief hanging over the community. How does someone walk away from such a clear case? Some pointed to the power of Johnson's defense team. Others whispered about witness intimidation or a weak prosecution. Since grand jury proceedings are sealed, the truth of what happened behind those closed doors may never come out. With the weight of a murder charge suddenly lifted, Johnson did what few expected. He reinvented himself completely. He buried the 22 Savage persona and rebirthed himself as Funny Mike, the entertainer. It wasn't an entirely new lane. Before rap, he'd already dabbled in comedy sketches, but now he went all in, trading gun talk for goofy pranks, vlogs, and family challenges. His charm and humor caught on fast. As his relationship with Jalea Monet blossomed, they built a brand around family life, laughter, and positivity, a far cry from the chaos that once defined him. Today, Funny Mike commands over 6 million YouTube subscribers, multiple channels, and a multi-million-dollar empire built from laughter, not violence. Still, beneath the success story lies a painful truth. Richard Phillips never got justice. A young man lost his life over something as trivial as a flyer, and the person who pulled the trigger now lives freely, entertaining millions. For Phillips' family, the laughter that made Johnson famous must echo as a haunting reminder that the system can sometimes let the wrong people walk away unscathed. The leaked video paints a chilling picture, an unarmed man gunned down in what appears to be cold blood, yet somehow, the system allowed everyone involved to walk free. Despite shifting stories and clear evidence, MacArthur Johnson managed to escape conviction, exposing the cracks in a justice system where influence, wealth, and sharp legal maneuvering can outweigh truth. It's a case that reveals how easily grand jury proceedings can be swayed, how families of victims are often left without closure, and how accountability can disappear behind technicalities. At the same time, it forces a moral question. Where do we draw the line between redemption and responsibility? Johnson's transformation into Funny Mike is undeniable. He's built a career that entertains millions, spreading laughter and positivity in a way that's touched countless lives. But can personal growth erase the weight of the past? Does success somehow balance the scales of justice left uneven since that night in May 2016? The resurfaced footage has reignited public debate, especially among his fans, many of whom had no idea about his history. Comment sections now serve as battlegrounds, some defending his evolution as proof that people can change, others demanding accountability for a life lost. The controversy has also reignited discussions about the double standards within the justice system and how fame often shields people from consequences that others would never escape. In the end, Funny Mike's story stands as one of the most complicated transformations in modern internet culture, from an accused killer in a Louisiana parking lot to a millionaire entertainer adored by children. It's a powerful reminder that fame can rewrite a narrative, but it can't erase the questions that still linger about justice, morality, and the true price of redemption. The viral leak of the footage has forced the public to confront a difficult truth about MacArthur Johnson's past, and to question whether personal growth can ever outweigh unanswered justice. It's also exposed deep flaws in a system where wealth, influence, and skilled lawyers can sometimes bend the rules in favor of those who can afford it, even when the evidence feels undeniable. Meanwhile, Richard Phillips' family is still left without closure, mourning a son whose life ended far too soon while the man accused of taking it has built a multi-million-dollar empire and a global fan base. It's a painful contradiction, one that reminds us how the intersection of the streets and the internet can blur moral lines in ways that leave no easy answers. This story raises hard questions. Can someone truly change after being tied to such tragedy? Do people deserve redemption after allegedly taking a life? And what does it say about our culture that footage of real loss can trend online as content? Each person will draw their own conclusions, but one truth stands firm. Richard Phillips' name won't fade from memory, and no matter how high Funny Mike climbs, the events of May 3rd, 2016, will always cast a shadow over his legacy. So, what do you think? Can redemption ever balance the scales of justice? Should success rewrite the story of someone's past? Share your thoughts in the comments, hit that subscribe button, and stay tuned, because the truth behind hip-hop's most controversial moments is deeper than it looks. And above all, remember, this isn't just a story about fame or transformation. It's a story about a life lost, and that should never be forgotten.